real conversations, and some hard truths. Gangs, drugs, and guns. Giving a voice to those willing to sacrifice. We have stories that need to be told. We have lessons that need to be taught. Protect and serve. Welcome to The Quiet Professional. Hey everybody, welcome back. Nathan Rome is with you. Today we are going to be talking about mental health and recovery from a leadership perspective. For that, I have retired Master Warrant Officer Tim Turner from the Canadian Forces on the show. Tim spent 24 years in the regular army, 7 in the reserves. He served with 2 Commando, PPCLI, Skyhawks parachute team, and was a master sniper. Tim completed tours in many places, so I'm going to list a few here. He was in Cyprus, Croatia, the Middle East, Afghanistan, and Sierra Leone. After the Army, he spent further 12 years working with the Alberta Sheriffs. 10 years were with the Executive Protection Unit, where he worked with 5 different premiers. He also was an aide-de-camp to the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta. I hope I said that right. Aide-de-camp. I've never heard of that position. But Tim has been married for 40 years and is a skydive coach with Campbell River Skydive Center. So welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Some people might think the name sounds familiar. We had your son on here, Nick Turner, as part of our Veterans series back in November. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It was a really good conversation. He was a really good guest. I'll have to have him on in the future when he has time. He's a busy dude. So, but yeah, we'll kind of maybe start at the beginning and we'll get into the whole leadership discussion because I think with the number of places you've been, obviously you've been promoted several times in the military, even your time with the Alberta Sheriffs, it's a pretty unique job. Not a lot of people have knowledge on, but I think you can talk a lot about the mental health aspect from the leadership side. Because I guess most people get it from the boots on the ground perspective and just think it's all about bullets whizzing overhead or bombs going off near you, which is certainly an aspect. But we'll talk about the leadership side of things. But maybe you can just start by telling some people about yourself. So where you come from and how you got into the path of service.
Yeah, absolutely. Originally, I'm from Australia, and my parents immigrated to Canada. So I actually became a Canadian citizen at 18 years old in order to join the military.
Oh, wow.
And so my dad's background was he was submarines in the Royal Navy, and they immigrated to Australia. I was hatched, and then we moved here. So his love of war movies and all that good stuff got me interested in the military. And, you just know. At 12 years old, I'm watching a movie. It's got airborne paratroopers. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to jump out of planes. So at 12, I knew exactly what I want to do and what my focus was going to go to. So we moved all over the country. So I had an opportunity to see everything. We lived in Halifax. We lived in Victoria, Sudbury, Ontario, Toronto, Newmarket. So a lot of my time was finished off in Southern Ontario. So I found out about the Army Reserves. Actually, I found out about the military through the old military magazine called Sentinel, which was produced by the Canadian Forces.
Okay.
And through Sentinel, I was seeing a lot of articles on Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry and 2 Commando. So I was like, okay, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. But I didn't know how to go about it. So when I was 17, I went down to the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada, joined them. And that's where I was introduced into skydiving. Wasn't fully in the unit yet, and they invited me to do their adventure training. So I went skydiving in Gananoque, Ontario. So the neat little 6 degrees of separation there was this, my jump instructor was named Eileen Vaughn, and she was a world champion skydiver. So this is 1982. This is huge. And she later on joined the Queen's Own Rifles as an administrative officer, and she became one of the first females on the Skyhawks parachute team later on. So Queen's Own actually became the first paratrooper reserve unit. And I managed to go on my jump course at 18.
Wow.
Took my Maroon Beret course with the Airborne Regiment, and then I was attached to 3 Commando on long 6 to 8 month tasks before I joined the regular Army. Because at that time, for some reason, it was very slow getting in. It took 2 years to get in, even though I already had all these qualifications.
Oh, wow.
It was, not a very good system. And then I had to go through all the hoops again. I had to go, even though I've spent months and months with 3 Commando, I had to go through basic recruit training. And I still had my jump wings on, going through basic recruit training. As a matter of fact, some of my instructors were some of my section commanders from 3 Commando, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Hey, you tell me."
Yeah.
So, anyways, I wouldn't have traded that for anything. It was another great experience, especially doing battle school and PPCLI. And once I got to battalion, I only spent about 7 months in battalion and posted straight to 2 Commando.
Oh, wow.
So my focus of exactly what I wanted to do actually came about. So that was quite good. Once in the Commando, we deployed to Cyprus right away on a peacekeeping mission. I was a young trooper. Hey, it was a good opportunity. It was a great job. That mission had been going on for over 20 years at the time. It was a true peacekeeping mission. Not a lot was going on, but we still had small incidents happening during that mission. And one of the really neat things I had the opportunity to do was a week-long exchange with the Swedish Army. So I got to go and work their observation posts and be with them. And that was quite fun because you got to see how that different culture works.
Yeah.
So, it's quite hot in Cyprus. Yet these guys, they love taking saunas. So they actually built saunas so they could sauna all day. And the Swedes consisted of a lot of Finnish guys that were there, and that's all they're about is saunas. So these guys could last like an hour, and I lasted 10 minutes. No. But it was great opportunity. I'm returning from that. The Airborne Regiment was quite a good stepping stone for me. So, as you can imagine, I'm only a trooper. Go 2 years later, I've only got 2 years in the regular Army, and I'm already going my section commander course, my sergeant's course. So I was picked into that, and I was also drafted into Pathfinder platoon. So you get drafted by the platoon based on performance. Went over there. So in 1988, it actually was quite good. Here I am in Pathfinders. Did my military freefall course and then section commander course, all as a trooper.
Are you at this time, like, is this a fast, I'll say a fast track for someone? Like, is it quick?
Yeah.
Or normally takes them longer, I guess?
Yeah, that was very quick. However, because you're detached from your primary regiment, PPCLI, and pushed into the Airborne Regiment, even though I got onto that section commander course as a trooper, you're kind of forgotten about in the meriting of the regiment.
Mm.
So you guys are left alone, not getting promoted.
Okay.
So I got the course, but you're not getting promoted because you're not in the battalion back at the home unit. So that took 2 years after that course is when I got promoted to Master Corporal in 1990 when I was on the Skyhawk. So that was kind of nice.
And from there, so you're kind of going along, passing through the ranks and getting a lot of these opportunities. Did you find like as you're growing up and kind of coming through those early stages in the military, is there anybody that kind of mentored you or that you looked up to that kind of you thought like, I want to emulate that person?
Absolutely. Many different section commanders and officers, make that impact. And I think that's the key to anyone's success moving up the rank structure. You do have to pick a mentor. You have to take bits and pieces from different leaders to make that you as a leader on your own side, taking all those little chunks.
Yeah.
And I was really blessed. Like we had great junior NCOs and senior NCOs and officers shaping me and shaping everyone. It's just whether you accept that shaping, whether you accept that mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a problem with some people is they're not taking that in or using those skills to help themselves. So I was taking every opportunity. So my session commander that was on my session commander course, I emulated that guy huge. I love the way he was very aggressive on his instruction, very to the point. I love it.
Hmm.
And then a lot of joking around on top of that, right? Because you need to relax the guys and all that good stuff. So I used those pieces. Many NCOs in Pathfinder Platoon were just incredible. They're all about teaching and instructing and passing that information on. So all those little bits I took in. Another one is the negative side. I like seeing bad leaders and seeing I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of people get that with parents, right? Like you might take some stuff and say like, okay, I'm not doing that in the future, right? You hope people kind of learn from those experiences.
Yeah, definitely. But that negative side is important. You have to understand that's not a good path. So don't get on that path.
Hmm.
Right from how you live day by day, you have to have an ethical way of running your family, and that relates to your job. Because you also see that misbalance with you see really good leaders, and then you go over to their house, and it's just you're like, wow, this is the opposite of how you actually run your military
Yeah.
section, and your personal life is just a disaster.
Hmm.
So you have to have that combination of both.
It's kind of like almost like a facade, right? They can put it on for an hour or
Yeah.
two when they're see you. Um, yeah, well, and I think the big thing is like the criticism. So the military kind of teaches you to take a lot of the criticism and turn it into a positive. You got to do a lot of things like paying attention to detail. People are ripping apart your bunks and doing inspections or whatever you might have, right? Um, yeah, you definitely have to. I think that's one thing that's missing, well, from society today in general, but is people looking for that, seeking those kind of opportunities out, and using those to better themselves. So, yeah, the leadership aspect is definitely hard to come by in a lot of sense. But if you don't have, would you say like with the military and in your experience, at least up to that point, did you see a lot of it? Was it more? Were there more good examples, or did you have kind of, was it like 50-50, or would you say there was actually like a lot of bad examples more so than good?
No, you definitely see more good,
Yeah.
particularly in the combat arms and the infantry,
Hmm.
because in the infantry that is really where your true leadership is. Say a master corporal, which is the first level leadership. He's got 8 to 12 guys he's looking after, and then you have a sergeant who's in charge of overall of that group. And in other trades, so for instance, the armored corps, you have a troop, which is a platoon. So an infantry platoon is about 38 guys.
Yeah.
An armored platoon troop is 12. And within that 12 guys, you have 2 master corporals, a sergeant, and a warrant officer, and an officer.
So almost everyone's promoted in there.
Yeah. So not really truly leading anyone. You have a vehicle with 2 to 3 troops in it. That's it.
Hmm.
Right? Whereas in the infantry, especially if you're in an armored like LAV battalion, you have that crew that you're running, the same crew and same vehicle that the armor corps is running, plus you have 7 assaulters in the back.
Wow.
So, and then on top of all the other infantry courses that you do. So it's interesting. And then you look at the Air Force. I mean, those are just pay ranks. And the first time I realized that was actually I was a warrant officer and run a big, massive exercise, and the Air Force is involved. It's towards the end of the exercise, so we're in the mess having a meal and a beer, and this newly promoted Air Force sergeant sits down and goes, "Hey, can I join you guys?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "Oh, I got some leadership questions for us." I said, "Sure." He goes, "Yeah, like how do I run my group of guys?" And I said, "Okay, yeah." I said, "How many troops do you have?" He says, "I have one. He's a master corporal." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Oh my God, you can't handle leading one guy," and he's master corporal. So it's interesting to see that a lot of the military, yeah, you have a rank, but you're not really in charge of anything. It's more of a
Yeah.
pay rank.
We see that kind of in the policing world too. You have some, you can have a squad on the street and you're in charge of 10, 12 people.
Yep.
Then you have some units where, well, some days it could be you're just the sergeant there and you have one constable under you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can vary widely, I guess. Um, through and you were talking about your skydive coach. You said she was a world champ.
Yeah. I think Vaughn. So that's like back in 1982.
Well,
And
what do you do to become a world champ in skydive? I just think of it, you fall out of a plane. So what
yeah.
else is there to it?
So back in that era, big one was accuracy. And you would fly your canopy and you'd land it on this big inflatable um, round cushion.
Hmm.
Within that round cushion, which is actually a fairly small target when you look at it, but then there's a 10 centimeter disc in the center.
Oh,
And then you have to touch the dead center of that disc. So even though you've made it onto this 10 centimeter disc, you could hit the outside of that disc and that's going to be 0 points or 1 point. You have to get the closest to the center of that disc. So she was an accuracy person. And then relative work is where you come out in a formation and you're touching each other. So you do a 4-way, 4 people are coming in, and then you're doing different maneuvers and hooking up. And then you have to do so many maneuvers within that 1 minute of free fall.
wow.
Yeah, so she was very good at her skills.
Yeah. And is that so that was someone that you also looked to kind of emulate, that was like on you were saying that you kind of took some pieces from what she was doing?
Well, I had a very limited exposure to her. It was, just the
Mm.
jump course and a couple jumps afterwards. But I super impressed by her, and I've always promoted her wherever I go and say, "Oh, by the way, I was taught by this
Yeah.
this lady," and then she went on to the Skyhawks after that. But it was really neat because, well, it was unfortunate. We were at RCP Constable's funeral in Edmonton
Okay.
and ran into her at the parade. And I
Mm.
hadn't seen her in 30 years. So that was kind of neat to run into her.
Wow. Well, so when we're going through, you've got a couple years into the military, are you kind of looking to promote? And I know a lot of people might think, "Oh no, he's looking to promote." That's you got to watch out for those people. but um, but I think there's a lot of good people and there's a lot of good reasons to promote, right? Because you can make change and good change. But um, is that something that's always kind of been on your path, your trajectory? You always looked to kind of like, I want to make change or be
Mm.
able to have my own team, and I can
Yeah,
affect change that way. Is that's kind of your
yeah,
spirit?
absolutely. You know, when the promotion comes, it comes. But the main intent is to make what I say to people is I can influence my bubble, my sphere of influence. So as a master corporal sergeant, I got this influence, and then I can get it bigger. As a warrant officer, as a master warrant officer. So you're just making that sphere bigger. And the more you move up the rank, the more you have also with mentoring the junior officers.
Yeah.
Because we go hand in hand in training each other. Because we train the junior officers to become officers.
Hmm.
And then when you go in your warrant officer course, you have officers and warrant officers training you.
Yeah.
The Patricias, the PPCLI, we do a really good job with that NCO officer relationship. We're really blessed to have a really good officer corps and with mutual respect up and down the ranks. We've been really fortunate with that good leadership role. And it's important as that NCO, it's loyalty as well. Back when I joined the early 80s Army, it was a lot of us and them. The officers, they're the officers, no, that's not how it works. You have to have that mutual respect because we work with each other.
Yeah.
And it's our job to develop them and their job to develop us. So it's a two-way street.
And
that's got to go both ways.
Yeah. Well, do you ever, when you're kind of moving up the ranks in the military and maybe even some of the executive protection stuff, but what do you find was the biggest stressors in there? Because I think when I think of like the police um, and some of the people I've talked to on here, it always seems to be the moral injury or like the stuff that happens within the institution is the most damaging on a person. So you kind of sign up and you expect like, the enemy's over there or the bad guys are over there. I know they don't like me and my feelings aren't necessarily hurt by things they might say or do. Um, but when it comes to within the organization, I've often heard that moral injury is kind of the biggest one. But I'm wondering, like, as you're kind of going up and up, do you see that a lot? Like, is that a thing that kind of came up for you?
Like you maybe talk about toxic leadership.
Yeah, well, there's toxic leadership, moral injury. I think you would be looking at things like, yeah, issues with leadership. So people that are even further above you, um, or people, say they're going to do one thing but do an opposite, and
Yeah.
those kind of things. So that like a big thing that you would run into.
Yeah, I think anybody encounters that. There's always that one leader that makes life difficult.
Hmm.
And how I describe that is, I find that is an incompetent leader because they are afraid to make that decision, or they are intimidated by your leadership.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So they won't execute because they're in fear of you, that you're going to outperform them. So that's an incompetent leader. So yeah, there's lots of that. Well, I shouldn't say lots, but that's a minimal side. But there's always ways to get around that, manipulate that leader. For instance, when I was the master sniper for Western Canada, um, I wanted to run a shoot off the tower. And we have this massive tower in Wainwright called Range 16. So my scheme of maneuver was to gain entry into this tower, and then we shoot high angle from the tower itself,
Yeah.
and then we'd rappel off the tower to extract, and then do a fighting withdrawal. So this is with my snipers. So I come up with this plan, and some people hear my plan like, "There's no way you're going to be able to do that." I'm like, "Why?" "Well, it's never been done before." "Yeah, Roger that. So I'll make it happen." So that's lazy leadership. So I had some people above me going, "Oh, that's not going to work," even though they have nothing to do with snipers, but they're just trying to shut it down right away. So all I did was is what we when we're doing what we call a field fire. So you're not on an actual conventional range. We have to template it. So we have to template the map and the ground. So we have our safety arcs, and then do our range ops order. So I did all that ahead of time. And then I went to range control, presented to them, like, "Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a fun shoot. It's the first time anyone's done that." "Yeah, oh, great." So when I gave the plan to the higher ups, who were originally saying, "No, that's not going to happen," I'm like, "Yeah, it's all blessed. Here you go. It's signed off. We're going to do it." They're like, "Oh, great. Go for it." Same with doing some training with American Special Forces units in the States. I'd already done all my phone calls,
Hmm.
pre-arranged everything. And then when I toss this, they're like, "Oh, we don't know if you're going to be able to do it." I go, "Well, we're already accepted. Here's the letter from their commanding officer inviting us, and here's my budget."
Yeah.
So I did three. So I did three budgets. I did the expensive option, middle option, and cheapest. So they couldn't say no.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was they always picked the most expensive budget.
Oh, really?
So budget was never the issue.
That's surprising.
The issue is, because there's always the great idea guys.
Hmm.
And then guess what happens with the great idea guys, and you're the higher up? You have to execute my mission now. So they don't want to do the work. So I did all the work prior and just made it happen. So that's a way to get around those kind of people.
Yeah, no, I think those are some really valid points. Um, well, maybe we'll kind of continue a little bit with your career, talking about some of the places you've been, because you've been to many. But over those years, as you're kind of promoting, what are you kind of seeing in your own leadership style? So as you're going along and you go up in ranks, you have more people below you. Uh, are there certain things that you're taking away from that experience that you're like, oh, I should have done this better. Maybe I should have changed the way I acted or said things. Like, are you kind of reflecting as you're going along, or is that something you didn't notice till later in life?
Um, I think that's part of growth. When you're a junior NCO at the mass corporal, the lowest level, um, and all mass corporals are in the same boat, and you're just fire eaters, and you're just like just going 110%. And then when you reflect back, it's like, wow, a few of those moments shouldn't have happened. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe a bit too aggressive. But that's part of your own personal growth. And as you move up the rank, you get that level of leadership maturity is occurring. So yeah, so I mean, I do that after action AAR throughout, but I didn't do it as a mouse corporal. It was about maybe 3 years into it, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to pull the reins in a bit on how I execute this. But you also have to temper it with what you're doing. If it's you're dealing with your own troops, a battalion, that's different. It's more relaxed, it's mission focus and pure mentorship. Whereas when you're dealing with a recruit, you're breaking that person down and you're trying to put the most stress on that person as you possibly can.
Hmm.
But you're still mentoring, but there's a lot more induced stress from the NCO, from yourself. So you have to learn to tailor
Yeah.
how you discipline, how you instruct, and how you execute with the different situations. I'm pretty sure you've seen that yourself.
Yeah. It's just knowing your audience. So whether you're teaching a recruit on the street, or now if you're an acting sergeant, now you're speaking to management. Like there's just different ways to do it. Everyone has, like, you have your own style kind of mixed in there. Not everyone's going to say the exact same thing with the same tone and inflection, which I've found out sometimes gets you in trouble. But yeah, so as you're kind of growing up in the military, and you're getting all these experiences and leadership examples, um, did you ever have kind of like an end goal in mind of what you wanted to look like as a leader? Are you saying like, if I was to kind of give an example, I would say like, I want to be, emulate this character in this movie. I want to have these values. I want to kind of say these things. Like, is there anything that you saw yourself down the road going, I want to, at some point, I want to be that person, or I want to be like this, whatever that might be? Ever come up for you?
No,
No?
I have my own leadership style. I just, like I said, I
Mm.
took bits and pieces from everybody else and make it mine. Um, I, I think if you're really your end state or aiming to be this, I think that's kind of disingenuous. You got to be yourself,
Mm.
because that's what makes you you.
Yeah.
What I didn't get as a master warrant officer, I started getting my soft skill more. Like I appreciate how senior officers speak
Yeah.
and articulate themselves, how they carry themselves. I don't want to be an officer, but you need to have that more gentleman type skill as you go higher up. And I have to say, I think you could achieve that even at your junior level, but we don't. We're kind of savages. You know we're a bunch of apes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the when I retired, I went over to the Loyal Edmonton Regiment Reserve Unit, and I had a great, very fortunate to work with a lot of those guys who were attached to us in Afghanistan to our battle group, and good bunch of solid guys. And I'll have to say, there was a group of guys there that were just amazing. Like these guys were corporals, mass corporals, and they acted like gentlemen. They dressed well after work.
Yep.
They carried themselves well. And I think that would be good for our troops, but we don't read that into them, because you should have that skill, that soft skill, and that hard skill should be combined. You don't have to be, I think you don't have to be an officer to have that both combination. If we bring our younger soldiers up in that direction, I think we would do well. So a bunch of those guys actually moved on to some great things. So one of my guys, Master Corporal Jeffrey Harder, true gentleman, and he got fed by both myself and my son. My son taught him on his Army paratrooper course.
Oh, wow.
And he was one of my soldiers. And so here's this guy who's a paratrooper, combat veteran, and now he's a doctor. So it's kind of neat to see.
Like a physician outside the Army.
Yeah, he's a dentist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And another one of the guys, Ironic, he got the Medal of Military Valor in Afghanistan. And now he's an air control officer in the Air Force. And another one of the guys who is a total gun nut. Um, guy is out shooting all the time. He's the gear, he's the kit guy and combat veteran, great dude. And now he's a pilot in the Air Force. So all these guys have moved on to some pretty cool things.
Yeah, I think on the leadership side of things, that's always one of the things that say has fascinated me, but also made me, whenever I'm interacting with more junior members or training people, like I like to go in a direction where you can be personable and you can switch between the roles. Like we were saying, if you have a brand new recruit, you're going to break them down or treat them a certain way, not a bad way, but you can treat them a little differently than speaking to power in the ranks. But I think when you want to develop a style, you don't have to emulate someone at the very end, right? Like you were saying, but I think you can see the qualities in that person. You just want to go in a certain direction. So you try to act in a certain way that gets you there. One of the things I was wondering, like when you're doing the executive protection portion of your career, when we're talking about leaderships, you were with 5 different premiers.
Yeah.
What did you kind of see from them? Like, what were they like as leaders?
Yeah, that's a good one. Each one is different. The first one, Premier Ret'd, absolute gong show. Terrible leader, not a leader, not focused, awful person.
Like just in the way they treat people?
Treat people terribly, treat us terribly. Unfortunately for me, I was one of the favorites. So I was always the number one, always with her, never on the advanced team and getting a break.
Oh, okay.
However, I have to say, interesting story. So you must know John Vischer.
John Vischer?
Yeah. And, I mean, before your time, he was in charge of the Earth team for years.
Okay.
I don't think nobody's broken his physical fitness records. Even his son, who's a serving member, hasn't broken his records. Anyways, I trained the Earth team snipers and rule operations for a couple of years. So I got to know all these guys when I was posted to Wainwright. So when I retired, I went to the sheriffs and who did I run into? John Vischer, who's running the team. He sees me. He's like, Gunny, like, John. He says, what are you doing here? I go, I'm retired. I'm retired. We're going to talk. So I got drafted to the team because of him, because he knew my background and performance. So anyways, the election was coming up for her. So I got brought in as an ad hoc and worked with the team throughout the entire election. And then a couple of months afterwards. So there was a position coming up for the North team. And then unfortunately, the position went down to the South team, to Calgary. So Bruce, who's an ex-dogman from EPS, he was my superintendent, calls me in the office. Hey, unfortunately, your performance is amazing, but the position's going to Calgary. And of course, I'm devastated, but I'm just like, hey, you know what, Bruce, I get it. I'm next sergeant major. You got to maneuver your troops where they should go. It's awesome. And if the position comes up, please consider me. And leave the office. I'm like, God damn. And so literally the next day, because at that point I was doing patrol at the legislature. And I'm at the loading dock area, and the Premier Ret'd comes down, and she sees me, and she says, Tim. I'm like, Premier? She goes, what are you doing here? I'm going, this is my job. About 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. Yeah, go take your uniform off, put your suit on, report to the unit. She called the chief. She called the chief directly and said, I want this guy.
Wow.
And this made it happen. So as much of a terrible experience that was being with her, she actually got me the job. So that was kind of nice. After that, she got fired after 2.5 years. Even right down to the janitor, people were smiling again. The janitors wouldn't even come in the wing if they knew she was there. That's how toxic this was.
Wow.
she affected everybody in the building. Then we had Premier Hancock come in as the interim. Amazing guy. This guy is hard worker. Pleasant, good man. And now he's back being a judge in Alberta. Then we had Premier Prentice. As you know, he lost the election and then died in a plane crash after that. So then we had Premier Notley for 4 years. She was, well, I'm not really good with the NDP politics. However, as a human, she was great to work for.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily to get into the beliefs, but it's just talking about the person themselves, like what they're like.
The person himself, she, I don't want to get the politics side of it, but she was great to work for, and nice lady. She was a big runner. She always ran like a 10K in the morning. She ran marathons, half marathons.
So she's going for a 10K. You're going for a 10K.
That's right. Yeah. So that kept our accountability on that side. So it also, logistically with the team, it's hard because then you need a follow vehicle and you need a runner. You need the route prior, all that good stuff. And then if you had visiting dignitaries, then you'd put some people on bikes because then you got more people to deal with. So following her, we had Premier Kenny. Mm-hmm. Premier Kenny was incredible. Now, when you talk about hardworking people, that guy, I would say he's like being with one of your best COs in the battalion, just nonstop, and such a good person. Super proud of the team. He'd always introduce us to all these big clients that were coming to invest in Alberta, like billionaires and corporations. Like, hey, I want to introduce you to my team. And it's like, wow, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. And I'm not a religious guy, but I appreciate he's a Catholic and he does church every Sunday.
Wow.
So you're in church with him, and then we go do breakfast after the normal routine. And then we do breakfast afterwards. And he realizes we're with him all the time. He's like, Gunny, after breakfast, I got to go back to the church for a couple hours. So we won't do that next hit. I'm like, hey, Roger that. Goes, I got to clean toilets and wash floors. I'm like, okay, P, go for it. And so nobody knows about this. Like, so here's the Premier of Alberta on his hands and knees, scrubbing toilets and washing floors at the church.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I had heard that he was known even in federal politics as like he never stopped. He basically just worked 24/7.
Yeah. First couple of days we had him.
Yeah.
These guys have speechwriters, but he was writing his own. And it's like 03 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, like I've been going since 08 and we do 8 days on. So there's no sleep.
Oh, wow.
Like we break every labor code there is. Like we don't get overtime because we're managers and you just work. So I'm getting paid for 36.7 hours a week, but I'm doing that in about 2.5 days. So you're just bagged at the end. So I check down his office. I'm like, P, how's it going? Goes, sorry, Gunny. I just got carried away. 1 more hour. I'm like, Roger that. So we get out of there at 4, then I pick him up at 6:30 in the morning.
Geez. It's like being back in, I don't know, like early, when you're 18 to 20 and I don't know if you're going out and partying.
Well,
and you party till like 2, 3 in the morning, then get to work at like 5.
Well, no, actually it reflects my job being in a reconnaissance platoon. So it was exactly like that. It was just go, go, go. So that was a hard thing for the unit when we bring people in, everybody wants to do exec protection because it's a cool job and it's high profile until they need to do exec protection hours.
Yeah.
And you're not getting paid for those hours.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of guys, we will bring guys in who we've selected off their performance off the course. And we try them out for a week or two and they're like, that's not for me. I'm like, see ya. So that was a challenge. But the best thing about exec protection I really enjoyed was firefighting, right? Putting out fires, working logistics when things collapse and coming up with next courses of action, like right away and making it happen. And all the premiers are just like, how'd you make this work?
Yeah.
Because our prior training for the military just made you be able to make this happen. Like meet connections, get our own bus in DC. Like pretty much, how do we get our own bus to take us to the plane? I'm like, I know a guy. It's just making these things work. Or when things go to total disaster, and then you pull up the car as soon as they get out, like when you've been stuck in traffic or something, like they were repoing cars, and as a bodyguard moving, and it's like, oh my God, that was incredible. The car just pulled up.
Yeah.
When they were like, we're 10 out. I'm like, we're 1 out. Let's go. So a quick funny story of how things can rapidly go bad, but you got to keep your calm.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to DC with Ret'd. So I'm new to the team, got to perform. So I arrived on Vance's party. We went and checked. We were going to the Bilderberg conference, which was outside of DC. So I drove all the routes, checked everything we have to do, just your normal stuff. Go to the airport, pick up the team and her. What does she want to do? Well, we don't want to go to Bilderberg right away.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go eat somewhere in DC that we haven't checked, that we don't have a route for, and it's just all ad hoc right now. So that's stressful. So we pull up, I pull up to this junction to go park, and there's parking. I'm like, oh, this is working out great. So we park, do our thing, go down, we go eat, reading outside on a patio. When you have that spidey sense that something just doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is towards the end of the meal, and she starts paying. So it's like, okay, let's go get the vehicles. We'll get them all repoed and ready to go. I look up. Just as I look up, what do I see? My vehicle being towed through the intersection. It's got all the luggage in it. And I'm like, so I look at my partner, said, Marcia, our vehicle's being towed. I am going to go and retrieve it.
Yeah.
And I just get up and I walk slowly across the street. As soon as I get around the corner, just start giving her. And luckily it was, high traffic. It was rush hour. So the vehicle's not moving very far.
Yeah.
Saw the vehicle, badge them. This is who I am. This is what's going on. They don't care. It's like, yeah, sure. I'll take it down. It's $200. I'm like, yeah, roger that.
Yeah. Tow truck drivers, they don't care.
So now it's all one ways and it's rush hour traffic. And then Marcia and the team are like, yeah, we're moving. It's only about 2 minutes to walk to the V. And now I'm just maneuvering through traffic in DC. And just as I pull up, boom, they breach the corner. And I'm just like, oh my God. And the whole team knows what was going on because I'm talking all the way through. And so you get a lot of those kind of incidents happen and it just works out.
Yeah, people don't see a lot of the stress that goes into those small things, but they think this magically just things happen for me.
Yeah. So Bilderberg was interesting because only one team member could go into Bilderberg with the principal. And they had a bunch of ex-Navy SEAL guys doing the full security. They had trauma buses and they could do everything on site. And the protesters were everywhere. And they had protesting areas that were caged off. But the funny thing was, so the rest of us, we couldn't go in. So we're staying at a hotel off-site. And who's staying at the hotel? All the protesters.
Oh, Jesus.
So we just dressed like they did. And we're just downstairs and we're just chatting with them, getting all the int we want and just relaying it to Marcia, who was in Bilderberg. So it worked out sweet. So we had got our own int going and just worked out fine.
Well, I think that's, you're just kind of making do with what you got, what you're presented with. I think, when you're talking about the wide variety of leadership styles, or in some cases, maybe lack of, you're exposed to quite the different people, even just in that experience with the premiers. Maybe, and some of the thing you said there kind of maybe is a good segue into talking about like the stress and PTSD for yourself. Are you diagnosed with any PTSD from military and or the executive experience?
Yeah, definitely military side. It's extreme PTSD, but it's manageable, right? I can manage it. And it's the side effect from doing your job. I think everybody has to accept you're going to have that side effect. It's how you manage it. And treat it as a normal thing. It's, you get bad knees from
Exactly.
constant PT and running and jumping out of planes. That's the side effect. So how do you move forward with it? For my wife, her way to dealing with it with me was to make fun of me. And we turn everything into a joke and a laugh. It's like, doing all the crazy things you do, and it would just make you laugh about it. And that's that's how we dealt with it. And I think that's great, because some wives can't handle that stuff and they just end up divorcing because the weird and wacky things you do.
Hmm.
But the interesting thing is, I definitely got that PTSD from, well, it was from multiple missions, but it definitely started in '94 in Croatia. And that destroyed a lot of people, because the rules of engagement kind of like tied your hands. And so it's frustrating. So you're over there to help these people. You're in between the Croatians and the Serbs, and you're trying to help these guys, but then your rules of engagement don't allow you to actually assist. So then you're seeing bad things happen to people where you could do something. So yeah, so then that just kept, building up, and then you do other missions. But I find it interesting that about 10 years after a critical mission, whereas say Afghanistan, you're having a lot of critical events happening.
Yeah.
It's about 10 years after the fact, it starts hitting people. So when I see like my guys breaking down, it's, well, okay, that's the timeline is working out here. It's 10 to 12 years. You get other side effects too. For me, like I don't smoke, I work out every day, but I have high blood pressure because I was working in that zone all the time. So you're working up in that zone and the body is never coming down.
Yeah.
So it's never relaxing inside truly. But you have to look at the positive side of it. If you look at it negatively, it's going to get worse for you. If you think of it as almost like a badge of honor, then it's different, isn't it? And so, for instance, if someone came and broke your leg, Colonel Grossman says this, someone came down the street and smashed your femur with a baseball bat, you are going to be devastated. You're like, why did this human attack me? Human on human contact.
Yeah.
But if you broke that skydiving or skiing, you'd be like, yeah, bruh, broke my leg skydiving. No big deal. But because it was broken by an attack by another human, now it's devastating to your brain. So that's what happens with the PTSD. It's human on human contact, right? Or what you observe when you're seeing things every day. So, yeah. So going into executive protection, I was PTSD'd way up here.
Yeah.
So what's the other side effect of when you're in this mode? It's, I need to work. I have to keep going and going and going and going.
Keep your mind off of things.
Just piling everything on.
Yeah.
So the executive protection unit, we were, like I said, we broke every labor law there is. We're working 18-hour days, maybe one meal a day for 8 days in a row. Then you got your 6 days off, and that's your recovery. And then I became the sergeant major I was the first sergeant major of the sheriff. So we had a great chief who came from RCMP, was second command of KDIV, and they run like the military. And he's like, you know what you need? You need a sergeant major. I go, yeah, I do. Said, you want to do it? I'm like, absolutely. So I came up with that. And then now all of Solicitor General have sergeant majors for each different sub branch. So the crazy thing about that was it was an off the side of your desk job. So I would do these crazy hours for 8 days. And then on my 6 days off, what am I doing?
Yeah, picking up more.
I'm running parades. I'm running medals parades. I'm writing all these op orders. Then I go back to work. So I never took a break.
You sound like a lot of guys on the job.
Yeah. So I never took a break. Then I volunteered to go to the academy and teach drill and run the graduation ceremonies. So I just kept putting more and more and more on my plate. And, there's a course. Yeah, I'll go on that course. There's a mission overseas. I'll take that mission overseas. Even though it's not my slot, I'll take it.
But at what point would you say that you actually recognized that something wasn't right, or this, the lifestyle, you're like, this is really impacting me? So where was that for you? Because you did a lot of years in the military.
Yeah.
And then you still go off to do, another 10, 12 years after that of just work. Where do you kind of recognize it?
So that's a funny story itself. So I decide, you know what, I'm going to retire, but I need to get my job first. So my job, again, I envisioned I want to be an executive protection unit. That's why I joined the sheriffs. But instead of joining the police, I joined the sheriffs because they had executive protection. And that was
Okay.
I want to go. That's why I want to go there. And that happened. But anyways, once I got my recruit course confirmed, then I put in my paperwork to leave the military. So I left on a Friday and I started my recruit course on a Monday. I got a weekend off and I started recruit training.
Wow.
So that that's how I operated all the way through. So what really got me was we came off the re-election campaign with Notley, and we've been out for she's close to 10 to 11 days, so past my 8 days because we're on the road, and we didn't do a relief in place for that because we were coming back to the city anyways. And so we were meeting my nephew for supper at the keg. And of course, after doing this crazy amount of hours, what do I need to do when I get first thing I need to do after being deployed? Yeah, I need to go to the gym. So I go work out, shower, and let's go. We're going to the keg. Eat my meal, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling good. Maybe I have to go to the washroom. So on my way to the washroom, I passed out, went into convulsions.
Oh, wow.
This is right in the keg. Then I get up because now you're disorientated. I'm in civvies, I'm unarmed, but what's my first instinct? I'm going for my sidearm and I'm scanning my arcs, and then boom, I'm down again. Then the second time I wake up, my wife's on top of me, a waitress is on top of me. Stay down, stay down. Then I get up again, and then bam, out. So the ambulance comes. They put me in the ambulance. They do EKG in there. Something's wrong with my heart. But what's the option I choose? I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm good. I'll walk this off.
Mm.
So we go home. I do some brain scans, and my brain's all messed up. And yeah, so I took a couple of weeks off and then back at it. So then carry on.
Yeah.
Not listening to my body. And I'm like, nope, mission. Let's go. Let's drive on. So then I went all the way through with Kenny for 2 years. And then I nearly died again. I had a prostate biopsy that went south because my immune system was so low. I went septic and spent 8 days in the hospital. I died and came back and lost like 30 pounds of muscle. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
And then that's where it's like, okay, I need to retire.
So throughout your whole military career and then everything after, was anyone ever were you ever taught about mental health or taking care of yourself in that way? So nothing ever came up, eh?
No. The military does it now. So I think they're doing a better job with it.
Yeah.
And however, I think they need to do a better job. So for instance, we injure your ankle or your leg on PT or on an exercise or a mission. What do? We give you physiotherapy. We work on that injury. So we need to have psychologists in every unit. So you can go talk to a psychologist. So the problem that they do now is as soon as you go talk to a psychologist, now you're bagged red. So now you can't deploy on missions.
Okay.
Or you can't get promoted. So now what's that do? That stops the hard chargers from going to get help because they don't want to lose their job and they want to keep doing missions.
Exactly.
All it says is let's tune the brain. Let's fix the brain. I believe JTF has that. For the tier 1 operators, they have psychologists they can talk to. And so they should. So I think we have dentists in the unit, we have doctors in the unit. Why don't we have a psychologist in the unit?
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece. Think about the money Canadian Forces can save on payouts if we're tuning your brain all the way through this process through your career until, like me, where you finally collapse, your body just shuts down and you collapse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I always find that, and that again, talking about leadership, I don't know if it just comes down to like a dollars and cents thing, and they see it as like, oh, this is a big bill right now, but they're not thinking about all the money they're going to be paying on the back end. Maybe they just think, well, that's going to be somebody else's issue.
But think about if I'm paying a psychologist in the Army.
Yeah.
Even if I'm paying them $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
To see my troops.
Yeah.
Think about a claim alone is $200,000 per soldier.
Yeah. Well, and I know when people get on the Veterans Affairs, they get on the like assistance, right? Because you can have some payouts for uh, physical disabilities, and then you can also have the mental side. I mean, you don't have to convince me. I think it's totally worth it. I have this argument all the time, even when just trying to get, suspenders or better belts or vests or whatever it might be on the physical side of things, that in and of itself has been a long, long fight. You think, how do you talk about the mental health side to a lot of these people in management? And where do you find the leaders who want to make those changes, right? Aren't afraid to kind of stick their neck out there and make a decision, make that change that hopefully is better for all the people. So,
Yeah. Well, you look at the programs, there's good programs like the suicide awareness, like, you get guys on that program so they can chat and talk. Well, how about we get a psychologist instead of getting an armchair ranger doing this?
yeah.
Still have that peer check in place, but put all the money into the psychologist. Anyways,
Mhm.
that's my view, and I think that's something that should be pushed moving ahead.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of come up to the end of the time here, I want to make sure we talk about the skydiving and just how that's kind of helped you and how you help other people. So, can you talk a bit about being at Campbell River and then Operation Pegasus?
Yeah. I've been jumping out of planes since I was 17, and then that's something I did in the army throughout my career. So to me, that's my thing. And when you leave service, you need that connection. So a lot of guys are going to the range and shooting and all that good stuff. For me, it's the skydiving. I love the smell of the parachute, the plane ride, the noise, the air, the excitement, and it just feels good. And I don't have to go out and do a crap load of jumps. I can just go out to DZ and do one jump, two jumps for the day, and just hang out and just part of that camaraderie. And the skydiving community is very similar to the infantry. It's very close knit.
Okay.
Everyone's there to help each other. Everybody's a bit crazy with, everything you do is a beer. Your first milestone of anything is like a case of beer. If you screw up, it's a case of beer. So it's there's no snowflakes at the DZ. It's all about just making fun of each other and having a great time. So a few of us were sitting around and we're like, hey, you know what? Campbell River is the only veteran-owned drop zone in Canada. We have like 7 ex-Skyhawks
Okay.
in the DZ. We have serving members and a lot of retired people who are all working there. And we're like, you know what? We should do something for the veterans and first responders. So we threw Operation Pegasus Jump together, and we run it like a military operation. So it's military instructors. So it's very like this, the instruction,
Yeah.
and making fun of each other, right? Because it's a stressful thing to do, jump out of a plane. So let's make it fun at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we do very military. It's the drop zone set up like a forward operating base. We have sea containers and we have our flight racks and we have our aircraft mock up. And first thing people come through and we got flags everywhere. First people are like, oh, I feel like I'm deployed again. This feels great.
Say it's that familiarity, right? Like
Yeah.
you're making them more comfortable in the area.
Yeah. So it's so good. And then we train them all day, we jump, and then we continue jumping. But then what happens on the last day, on the 4th day, is we do a big parade. So we have the pipes and drums, the Legion come out, we march on, we do a wing ceremony. We have a set of wings, the ones that you see on the flag behind you.
Yep.
So we present those with you, and all the staff come through. We present the wings, everyone hugs and shakes hands, and just a great ceremony. And then what happens on that day is rotation 1 is 4 days, and then rotation 2 is 4 days. So on the last day of rotation 1 is the first day for rotation 2 coming in and signing up. So we put both rotations out on the field for the parade. We have local elders bless the parade. We do a prayer, and then we play Amazing Grace. And as that plays, we tell everyone to yell out the names of people they've lost in service. So we started that on year 1, and I've never seen that before. Rob McNeil, one of the owners, he came up with this idea, and it's impactful. Instead of being silent and thinking,
Yeah.
when you're hearing people yell out the name and date of their death, it hits home. You're like, wow. And with the music playing, a lot of tears, a lot of crying.
Hmm.
It's pretty impactful. Then following that parade, then we do a big steak dinner with both rotations. And then we play the videos of all the skydives that were completed during that time. So rotation 2 gets to see that, what's up and coming. They get to reconnect with people they haven't seen in years or make new friends at the same time. One of the really neat things about it is seeing the spouses coming up, because spouses is part of this team. Getting through police service, military service, it's your spouse that keeps everything together.
Yeah.
So they can't be forgotten. So we've had a lot of spouses jump with their partners, and we've had a few now that are fully qualified skydivers now are skydiving together. So that's pretty neat. For the second year, which was this year, we had a lot more first responders out. So we need to get that word out. We need more first responders, paramedics, police, etc. We had a lot more police this year. We had quite a few RCMP. We had Ottawa guy come out for the second year, and an ex-Peel regional guy who's good friends with the Ottawa guy. And they're both now fully qualified solo skydivers.
Have you had anyone from like overseas or the US come up?
We've had guys from the British Army who are now living in Canada.
Okay.
But it is open to Five Eyes. So if you're British, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, USA, yeah, you can come up. But I definitely want to see more first responders. I want to see more fire, more police, and more paramedics. Man, I tell you, the paramedics, that's something that we don't give enough credit to. These guys are seeing crap all day, every day, and they're being abused by the people they're treating.
Yeah.
They don't make a lot of money, and these guys are seeing the worst of the worst every day. So this is really important for them to come out, because the whole idea behind this is building that camaraderie, building that new connection with someone else from a different service, but also being there and being around everybody else that's been through traumatic stuff through their careers to go, this is a normal way to feel, and it's okay. Because a lot of guys will be isolated and think, oh, I'm the only guy that's going through it. No, you're not. Everyone's going through it, and this is how everyone deals with it. And then the skydiving itself, that's stressful. So we're putting positive stress to help build that resilience for your day-to-day job.
Yeah.
Because if you can get out of that plane, you can do anything.
Do you have anybody that shows up and is like, no, I'm not going now?
Nope. Everybody's done it.
Everyone has? Wow.
Everyone's executed. But there's been people saying, I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
So you just treat that negative with positive and go, you know what? You're right. It's not natural to jump out of the plane. Of course, you're apprehensive. Of course, this is not cool. But let's give it a go. Let's try it. And if you can do it, great. If you can't, that's not a big deal either. At least you got in the plane.
Yeah.
And they always go. Everybody goes.
Well, if I can help spread the word, I'll certainly do that. We're at the end of our time. I want you to just tell people where they can follow you. If you don't know the specific links, I'm going to put them up anyways. But where's the best place for people to follow you and the projects you got going on?
Yeah, Roger. You can follow me at Army Sergeant Major on Instagram. And for Operation Pegasus Jump, you can follow us on Operation Pegasus Foundation on Instagram. And all that information will be posted there. Our new website will be up and running in January, and we're going to open registration starting mid-January. And that will be one-stop shop on the website. You'll be able to register, get all the information you require in order to execute this mission. And so this year's mission, or 2024, will be July 15th to the 21st, broken into 2 rotations. Rotation 1, the 15th to the 18th. Rotation 2, 18 to 21. Also note, you can attend both rotations if that's what you want to do, if you want to actually come out of there qualified solo. Another thing to note is, there is a cost to this. We are doing fundraising. We are not we are a foundation, but we still don't have tax status. So we rely on like a lot of the weed companies, Canada Connect, Spartan Wellness Canada, and Avail Medical have given us $5,000 each,
Nice.
expecting nothing in return other than a bit of advertising. And King Group, real estate out here in Comox. King was a paratrooper in the 3rd Battalion, sniper, combat vet, and then finished off as a search and rescue technician. And now he's running his own real estate company. And yeah, he just gave us $5,000. I'm like, hey, Kinger, I can't give you a receipt. He goes, I'll sell another house. No big deal. Here you go. So that was kind of nice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and augment your cost. So I believe the first jump course is about $300. So we're hopefully we'll be able to take $150 off of which we did this year. And if our fundraising goes well moving forward, hopefully we can pay the entire thing. And then it's just you guys paying to get out here. You can camp at the drop zone. So quarters is cheap. And we get a lot of support from the community. So 98.9 Jet FM here has gave us 6 months of free advertising. They also just did a calendar, a mullet calendar, and all the proceeds will go to us. And Ace Brewery here in town, we developed our own beer with them, and we call it Plan
very
B,
cool.
So Plan B is the emergency procedures if you have to cut away. That's called Plan B. So we named the beer after that. So they're going to. So we raised some money with that, but this year what's going to happen is they're going to sell Plan B in all the stores and their location in June. So all of June funds will come to us as well. So what you get out of this is you'll get a T-shirt, a good T-shirt, not a crap one. And then you'll also get a meet and greet barbecue at the beginning and then the steak dinner at the end. So that's all part of our fundraising goes into that.
And a whole lot of helping and healing in there. So
yeah, and then we do. Then we have a psychologist comes in on the 3rd day, and that's open to everybody and their spouses, and that's been very well attended. And we have yoga in the mornings. So yeah, it's a great experience. I didn't think this would get as big as it did, and we've had people come to both rotations. We have people coming for their 3rd. So it's really good. It's really exceeded our expectations.
no, that's you know what I think when you're out there and you're truly trying to help people, you'll find there's a lot of people who want to help you.
So on our first year, we did 3 rotations. So
Okay.
that was 12 days. So day 1 is just the intro day. So that's 11 days. Staff, we were pretty burned out. That was our first go. We thought, hey, you know what? Let's give 3 dates. That way more people can come. Then we tailored it down to 2 rotations for this year and next year. So this year, over the 8 days, 7 days of actual jumping, we conducted 605 skydives in 7 days.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So the plane's just constantly down and up, down and up. Like,
Yeah. We got two planes running and us up and down, up and down, up and down.
wow.
And 65 first jump courses, which is insane. That's amazing.
Mhm. That's good.
Plus 45 tandems, over 45 tandems. We had the Skyhawks attend this year, and they took some people up in their military plane for some tandems as well.
Oh, really?
So they're coming back again in 2024.
Well, people have to look out for that. I know I follow a lot of your stuff on Instagram. That's where I see a lot of it. So hopefully people follow you on there, and we'll definitely look to get the word out. So I hope the attendance, we can just help it grow.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I want to say thanks for coming on today. Hang on the line for 2 seconds. But yeah, many thanks. And thanks for what you're doing and helping people fight the good fight, even after their service might be done.
Thank you.